Yo guys, Jack here bringing you some Operation Metro Rush gameplay on Battlefield 4 Second Assault, and of course this is the Xbox One version of the game. So I picked up my Xbox One yesterday with a few games which I will be doing videos on, but of course I wanted to check out BF4 and bring you guys some more Second Assault footage, some actual, public gameplay whilst I was at home rather than at a little event where the conditions were a bit different. So yeah, this is actual gameplay. I'm playing this at home with random public players, and yeah, so I think I've got a pretty good idea of what BF4 is like on Xbox One now. And if you're going to enjoy it, I think it's pretty fair to say that the Xbox One version and the PS4 version, in terms of gameplay, are going to be very similar. In terms of graphics, PS4 definitely has the edge there, but general gameplay, they're both 64 players. You're both getting 60 FPS. All roundabout, so I'll get onto that in a second. So yeah, across the board I think the next gen experience between PS4 and Xbox One is going to be very similar. I am going to be picking up a PS4 as well. I'm not an Xbox fanboy, so to speak. So if you were thinking about writing that comment, lol Jack, why did you get an Xbox, just delete that, because I'm getting a PS4 as well and I'm going to be covering games on both systems. I think the Second Assault version of Metro plays out well. I've always liked Metro as a rush map on BF3. I like the progression, how you start inside, go inside. It's very infantry centric, and that's what I love. I love the infantry play on Battlefield. So yeah, it's good, and I think this is going to be a fan favourite as well. I also tried out 64-player Metro on the Xbox One, and it's very similar to the PC version, as you'd expect. Craziness. You've got the extra flanking routes now, but having played it a few times in practice, they don't really add that much to the level. I think there's still a lot of fighting over the middle point, which I guess you'd expect there to be anyway, because it is the central point in the map out of the three flags. But it does sort of feel like the grind fest that Metro has always been. Like I said in my Second Assault First Impressions video, I wish they'd have opened the top area up. I think that would have made the map a lot more interesting, but yeah, alas, they didn't do that. Never mind, I think Metro is still a great map, especially on Rush and Conquest Large. Some people love it, some people hate it, so what will be will be. So the base game in general, what's it like on next gen? What 64 players on Xbox One actually like? Well, I haven't played 64 before on the next gen consoles. At the shows that I've been to, there's always been like 16 or 32 people, okay? They've never done like a 64 player demo. And on a lot of the maps, it works really great. I had some great rounds on Zavod 311 yesterday, and Paracel Storm. I think the FPS was pretty good, plenty of action. Console players are just as good at playing the objective as PC players are. I think the game is a bit more passive though. Players aren't as aggressive on console and don't like to push as much. I think there's a lot more, I don't want to say camping, but there's a lot more tactical waiting, put it that way, on console than there is on PC. People like to hold back and let the enemy run into them rather than actively go and seek out the enemy. That's just my general impression. You might have a completely different experience, but I find that console players, or console Battlefield in general, is a bit more passive than on PC, which isn't a bad thing at all. It's just a different style of play that you have to adapt to. So yeah, if you're picking up a next-gen console and you're going to get Battlefield, then I'd absolutely recommend it. It's the true Battlefield experience. It's good. 64 players, it plays out really well. It's not all good though, being honest. I have had some crashes whilst I've been playing on Xbox One, like I'm in a server and all of a sudden it'll just take me to my dashboard and the game closes, which is quite annoying. Obviously we're crashing on PC. I've heard that it's been happening on PS4 and Xbox One as well, but I do know that DICE are working on fixing this, so hopefully that's going to get patched and sorted out. I did notice some quite significant frame drops on some of the maps with 64 players. Starting off, maps like Metro and Zavod are fine. Didn't notice any FPS drops on those maps at all. So it's generally the smaller maps, but on the bigger maps like Caspian Border, Gulf of Oman, and something like Hainan Resort, I was noticing a lot of frame drops. Nothing too crazy, the game wasn't chugging along or anything, but I did feel at times it was getting to that 30 FPS level, sometimes maybe even dipping below that when there was a lot of stuff on the screen. And it just feels a bit current gen, put it that way. I know this is a launch title for Xbox One. It's going to be the same for PS4 as well, so the developers and the hardware isn't optimized yet. So the launch games aren't going to be anywhere near as good as games that come out in the future. They're not going to look as good, they're not going to run as good. So you can expect it to get better from now on, I think, in terms of performance and graphics. So could just be some teething problems with the console, but I did find that with 64 players on some of the bigger maps, the frame rate didn't stick at 60 FPS, and it was actually dropping to 30. I'd say sometimes even below 30 when there was a lot of stuff going on. So you've got to watch out for that. If you're picking up one of these next gen consoles, don't expect 60 frames per second all the time, because it ain't gonna happen. For some people that's fine. A lot of people are just used to 30 frames per second and how it feels, the responsiveness of it. So for most people, not a big problem. But for me, because I'm coming from PC, I expect like crazy frames per second, and I can really tell the difference. And it's not just me, a lot of people can. But yeah, if you get one of these next gen consoles, you're not going to get 60 FPS all the time. I guess it depends on the game and the map. Like Operation Locker runs absolutely fantastic on Xbox One. Love it, brilliant, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, some of the bigger maps, when you've got vehicles and plenty of explosions and destruction going on, the frame rate certainly drops, and you can notice it as well. It's interesting for me too, because I'm still sort of getting used to the Xbox One controller. I wouldn't say I'm a complete novice. I've played a lot of PlayStation, N64 when I was growing up, Xbox 360. I used to play Halo and Halo 3 all the time, so I'm not terrible with a controller. I can hold my own, especially in these small to medium range levels. But on the bigger maps, if I see a target that's more than like 50-60 meters away, I don't even bother trying to shoot at them, because I just can't do it. Like, I overcompensate, I undercompensate, I've tried all different sorts of sensitivity. There's just no way for me to accurately track a target which is 50 or 60 meters away with an analog stick. If I was on PC, obviously I can just aim at him, take him out really easily. I never really see distance as a big problem on PC, unless it's like extreme distance, like there's a fucking recon player 700 meters away. Obviously I'm not going to hit that guy with an assault rifle. But if there's someone 50-60 meters away, I'm pretty confident that I could kill them using a mouse. But on console, I literally just don't even bother now. I used to try and get good at it, but I practiced, and if they're not close to medium range, I just try and get closer to them, or flank them, or just completely ignore them. I'll just literally just go, oh, that guy's too far away, I can't possibly kill him, so why embarrass myself? Why just waste a load of bullets? I'm just going to leave him alone and see if I can find another target or go to a different objective. I don't know if everyone feels like that with console, but it's certainly the way I feel, and I practiced, and I just can't get good at hitting medium range targets. It's just not happening for me. In other games, that isn't so much a big deal, because a lot of games don't have the same scale as Battlefield does. So if you look at something like COD, the maps are all very short range and medium range, and you can get some people who play COD that are absolutely amazing. Like the guys in MLG, someone like Ali A, for example, who's a YouTuber. He's mainly a COD guy, and you watch some of his videos like close to medium range using a controller, and his aim is bang on. Obviously there's a bit of auto aim as well there, but there are times when the auto aim just doesn't kick in. You've got to just use the stick to aim at the target, and it's pretty hard. So you do have to practice loads and loads and loads, and in COD it's much more close range, so I think you could actually get very good at it. I mean, people are very good at it, but in Battlefield, I think because of the longer distances, it's almost impossible to track long range targets unless you have like a super slow sensitivity. But then of course you put yourself at a massive disadvantage because you can't spin round if someone's shooting at you. First world problems, right? So alongside Battlefield on next gen consoles, I'm going to be putting out some Rise gameplay, Dead Rising 3, Forza 5, Assassin's Creed 4. So you can see what that looks like on next gen. I'll give you my thoughts on that. So yeah, look out for that. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this raw gameplay on one of the new maps. Remember as well, I'm still giving away a PlayStation 4 in one of my videos. You can check that out in the description, links down there. Very easy to do, anyone can enter, give it a shot. Leave a comment and a rating, let me know your thoughts on next gen console. Have you been lucky enough to pick up a PS4 and Xbox One and check the game out? What do you think about it? Love you guys, see you in the next one.